Hey, my small group leaders, welcome to February, the last week of February, as we wrap up respect. And respect is still all about showing others that they are important by what we say and do. And so this month, as we're wrapping it up, I really want to hit it hard with a really good authority story and respect story on how much this centurion had with respect to Jesus. And so it's going to be a really cool story as we dive into this. This is from Matthew 8, 5 through 13, which is where the Roman commander or the centurion, right? He has this faith that Jesus can heal even though he doesn't have to be physically present to do so. And so basically the centurion has a soldier that is sick and then is not, he's like dying kind of thing. And he goes up to Jesus and is like, hey, to invite Jesus into his house to help this man would have already gone against some things of the day. And so because he was Roman. And so this was a really cool show of faith from the centurion side saying that hey, Jesus, if you just say the word, I know that he will be healed. And Jesus is like, I haven't seen this much faith in all of Israel. And so it's a really cool story as we dive into faith, but also how much respect that this Roman soldier had for Jesus. Okay. So these first activities, the first one, you're basically just playing I Spy. Okay. And with this I Spy, it's I'm going on a road trip and I'm bringing, and then start with the letter A and go through the whole alphabet on something that you see that starts with A. And then each child that guesses, if they finally guess it correctly, then they can be the next person and they can go to the next letter on the alphabet and just kind of have some fun with that. The second activity, what you're doing is you're getting everyone to form a circle facing inward, and you're going to have a child stand in the middle. This middle child is going to totally close their eyes, bow their heads, close their eyes to where they can't see anything, okay? Then what you're going to do is you're going to pick someone to be it, and what they're going to do is they're going to do some sort of motion that all the other children will, around the circle, will mimic that motion. And so for instance, if the one who's it starts rubbing their elbow like this, then every other child will start rubbing their elbow, and then they have to start doing random things like maybe scratching their eyebrow, and then everyone else starts doing that. They start to just keep doing those things until the person in the middle finally discovers who was the original person that is actually doing it first, if you will. And so it's really fun as they're kind of in the middle, looking around everywhere, trying to figure it out. But it's really fun. And then you can say, let's go to a large group and hear about someone who knew exactly who was in charge, okay? And so that would be okay, the person that's initiating all of the things, they would be the one in charge for that one. And so that's how you can spin that one. Then go into your discussion questions, right? We're looking into connecting, studying, and praying, okay? So connecting, those are your opening activities. Studying, this is where you dive in and you talk about this stuff. When I led 5th grade boys last week, man, we went into discussion and it was great. We mostly only had time for discussion in one of the little activities, and then it was time to pick up. And so go deep into this discussion. These kids are hungry for it and they're ready for it. So as much as you can, give that respect of time to God and map your small group to do that. Be like, hey, small group, we are going to respect God with this time. We're going to use it for discussion and talking about him. And then if we have time, we'll go into some fun games if you want to do that. However you want to spin that, go for it. But these discussion questions are really good at the beginning. So definitely go through some of those, right? Then you have a activity that you don't have to do, but do it if you think it's beneficial for you. Then you have some paper clips and a penny. And basically what you're doing is everyone's going to close their eyes and hold out their hand. You're going to give paper clips to some and a penny to one child. And what they're going to do is the people with paper clips are going to try to convince everyone else in the group. No one sees who has the penny and who has the paper clips. But basically the ones with the paper clips are trying to convince everyone else in the group that they're the commander or the one in charge. And the person with the penny is also trying to do the same. But then everyone who didn't get either a paperclip or a penny, they're the ones that are guessing. And so at the end, they'll guess and try to find out who was the one with the actual penny. And then you can kind of repeat that and play it. But all of that is spinning with the fact is we don't need to guess who is really in charge of our lives, because God is the one that's ultimately in charge of our lives, right? And so if we call ourselves Christians, if we are Christ followers, if we are people who are transformed by the love of God and we're letting him transform us, then he's in charge of our life. And so that being said, that's what it's all about. It's about who is really in charge of your life, who really has priority in your life. And we don't have to guess who that is. We just know that it's God, right? Now, this next one, you have some murals. So you have a big piece of butcher paper. And with this piece of butcher paper, you lay it on the table. You're going to ask them to draw things that show us who God is, okay? So like examples of showing us who God is. So like the sun, the moon, animals, people, family, love, laughter. You can do it as more of like that kind of spin too. And then we're going to go into what are some things that we can do to show that God deserves our respect and attention, right? So we can obey him, we can thank him, all of those things. So do that as you go through just the different ways that God has already shown it, and then how we can respect him through looking at all of these different things. So we can see it through creation or just the different emotions that he created, things like that. So this next one, you'll have a whiteboard, and what you can do with this whiteboard is you'll put the amount of blanks that are in the memory verse, okay? And what they're going to do is you're going to say a random word, and you'll hand a child one of the dry erase markers, and they'll have to figure out where exactly that word is in the blanks that you do. And so, for instance, your memory verse is do to others as you want them to do to you, right? And then Luke 6:31. So if you say others, well, that's the third word. So they have to think about the whole memory verse in their mind, and then if you say others, then that child has to put it on blank number 3, due to others, right? And then you go through until you have all of the whole verse done, and then they've actually written out the whole verse for you in order, okay? So that'll be a good one to just make them think about the whole verse and putting it all together. Then you have pray and dismiss. So use those butcher paper murals that they did. And basically you're circling up and you're just talking about how we can respect God through all of the different things that we see, and just giving him praise and giving him that time. And that's it for this week, guys. Thank you so much for all that you guys do. We will see you guys on Sunday.